Good afternoon all. Welcome to the lecture of number theory. I am
Yes,
audible?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in last lecture we have seen the examples on the linear Diophantine equation. Okay. Now today we will start some new concepts. Today we will study about the primes. That is here primes and their distribution. Okay, so we will see some theorems regarding prime numbers. Okay, so first theorem. The smallest divisor other than 1. Okay, so the smallest divisor other than 1 of a composite number. Okay, composite number is a prime. Okay, so here there is one composite number, then its smallest divisor other than 1 must be a prime number only. That is we have to prove, and this is true for any composite number. Let us see its proof. Let a be any given, let small a be any given composite number. As it is a composite number, then it must has a divisor other than 1 and that element itself, which is by the definition of prime number. So there are only two types of number, that is composite number and prime number. What is a prime number? Any number is said to be a prime number if its only positive divisors are 1 and that element itself. Okay. Similarly, any number which is not a prime number is said to be a composite number. It means if there is a composite number, then it has at least one divisor d other than 1 and that element itself. Okay. So then as a is a composite number, then a has at least one divisor some d other than 1 and element a, which is just by the definition of composite number. So a has one divisor d other than the element 1 and that element a itself. Okay, so which implies a has a smallest divisor d which is less than the element a, since d is a divisor other than 1 and a, it means d must be less than a. So now there are two possibilities for that element d. Either d is a composite number or it is a prime number. If suppose d is a composite number, if d is a composite number, again by the definition of composite number, this d has one another divisor d1 other than 1 and d. So then d has at least one divisor d1 other than 1 and d. Okay, again plus what is the relation between d1 and d? Yes, either d1 is greater than d or d1 is less than d.
Less than D.
d1 must be less than d, since d1 is a divisor other than 1 and d of the element d. So the d1 must be less than d. As here d1 divides, but d1 is a divisor of our element d. d1 is strictly less than d, and d1 is a divisor of d, and d divides a. It means d1 is also a divisor of a, and D1 divides an element A. Divides A. So here again D1 is a divisor of A. Now first, here D is a divisor of an element A. If D is a prime number, then here only our process will be stopped. That is we have to prove. Okay, since the smallest divisor other than one of a composite number is a prime. If D is a prime, then there is no divisor other than that element which is less than that D. Okay, but if D is a composite number, then again there is one divisor D1 of D and which is less than D. As D1 divides D and D divides A, it means D1 divides A. Okay, but this contradicts. Now here we have assumed that A has a smallest divisor D. Okay, but here we will get one another element D1 which is less than D and it divides A. So which is contradiction to our this statement, that is D is the smallest divisor of A. This contradicts to our assumption that that D is a smallest divisor of E. And this contradiction arises due to our wrong assumption, that is D is a composite number. Since here we have supposed that D is a composite number. Okay, so as D is not a composite number, so D is not a composite number, which means the smallest divisor of any composite number other than 1 is a prime. So D is a prime. Okay, actually what is we have to prove? If there is a composite number, then its smallest divisor other than 1 is a prime number. Okay, so we have taken one composite number A. As it is a composite number, then by the definition of composite number, it has at least one divisor other than 1 and A. And we have taken D is a divisor of 1 and A. And we have supposed that this D is the smallest divisor of that element. Whenever we have supposed that D is the smallest divisor of that element, then there are two possibilities for the D. That is either it is a prime number or composite number. But if it is a prime number and it is the smallest divisor of A, then at that step only our proof will be over. But here we have assumed that D is a composite number. Whenever D is a composite number, then again by the definition of composite number, there exists one another divisor D1 of D which is other than 1 and D, and that D1 must be less than D, and D1 also divides A. So here we get one another divisor D1 of A which is less than D. So this will be contradicts to our assumption that D is the smallest divisor of our element A, and this contradiction arises due to our wrong assumption, that is D is a composite number, and hence D is not a composite number. It means it is a prime number, and that is we have to prove. Hence, from that one, we conclude that the smallest divisor other than 1 of any composite number is always a prime number, and hence the. Okay, kunal kahi doubt yamadhe?
No, sir.
Okay. Now next theorem. If P is a prime number, if P is a prime and small a is any integer, then either GCD of A and P is equal to 1, or A is a multiple of actually here there is no need to prove this one. Okay, since whenever P is a prime number, then any element A is either relatively prime to P or it is a multiple of P. हे आपल्याला प्रूव्ह करायची गरजच नाही, कारण P हा जर माझा प्राइम नंबर असेल तर एक आर्बिट्ररी मी एलिमेंट A जर घेतला, obviously if A is less than P, then GCD of A and P must be equal to 1. Since there is no number other than P and 1 which divides the element P, and whenever we will find out GCD of A and P, it must be equal to 1. Since there is no integer less than p which divides p, since p is a prime number. Okay, now there is only one possibility that a is a greater than p. But whenever a is greater than p, then either this a is a relatively prime to p or it is a multiple of p. For example, if a is equal to 2p, 3p, p square, whatever it will be, then it is a multiple of p. And if it is not a multiple of p, then it must be a relatively prime to p. Okay, and that is we have to. ओके, माझा पी हा एक जर प्राइम नंबर असेल, ए हा मी कोणताही आर्बिट्ररी जर इंटिजर घेतला, तर एक तर तो पी शी रिलेटिव्हली प्राइम असेल, म्हणजे त्यांचा दोघांचा जीसीडी हा 1 असेल. जर जीसीडी 1 नसेल तर एक तरी तो ए हा जो असेल माझा तो पीच्या मल्टिपल मध्ये असेल, काही का असेल. ठीक आहे, हे आपल्याला प्रूव्ह करायचं आहे. If suppose a is strictly less than p, as p is a prime number, then it has no divisor other than 1 and p. It means a must be relatively prime to p. And if a is greater than p, then there are two possibilities for a. That is, either a is a multiple of p, for example 2p, 3p, 4p, p square, p cube, whatever it will be, or it is relatively prime to p. And that is we have to. Since p is a prime, p is a prime, it has only two divisors. It has, that is only two positive divisors. It has two divisors, 1 and p. Divisors 1 and element p itself. Therefore, GCD of a and p is equal to 1, or GCD of a and p is equal to p. Okay, so whenever a is relatively prime to p, then its GCD will be p, and whenever a is a multiple of p, then the smallest divisor, that is greatest common divisor of a and p, must be p. Since a is a multiple of p, it means obviously this a is greater or equal by p. So what is the greatest common divisor? P only the greatest among all the divisors. Okay, so GCD has only two possibilities. Either GCD will be equal to 1 or it is equal to p, and it is equal to 1 whenever a is relatively prime to p, and it is equal to p whenever a is a multiple of p. Okay, so if GCD of a and p is equal to 1, then our result will be obvious to us, since we have to prove that either GCD of AP equal to 1 or it is a is a multiple of p. Okay, so whenever GCD of AP will be equal to 1, then obviously the result will be true. Then the theorem is proved. Then the theorem is proved. Now the second possibility, since GCD has two possibilities, for first possibility is the theorem will be proved. Now the second possibility is if GCD of AP will be equal to p. So if GCD of a and p is equal to p, in that case also we have to prove that either GCD of AP equal to 1 or a is a multiple of p. As here GCD of AP is equal to p, it means these two integers are not relatively prime. Since whenever they will be relatively prime, then its GCD must be equal to 1. As here GCD is not equal to 1, it means they are not relatively prime. It means here obviously we have to prove that this a is a multiple of p. So if a GCD of a and p is equal to p, okay, so GCD of a and b is equal to p or a if and only if the another element is a multiple of that element. As here GCD of AP is equal to p, it means that a must be a multiple of p. Then only it is possible that the GCD of these two integers is equal to p. So which implies that then obviously a is a multiple of p. Since GCD means it is the greatest common divisor, so greatest common divisor is p, then a is also a multiple of p, and hence the. Okay, yes, या रिझल्ट मध्ये कोणाला काही डाऊट?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, next, if p is a prime, if p is a prime and p divides the product of two integers a and b, then either p divides a or P divides. Okay, so let us see the proof now. Here P is an integer and P divides the product of two integers A and B, and then we have to prove that the either P must divides A or it divides B. Then only it is possible that P divides the product of two integers A and B. Okay, so given that P is a prime number and P divides the product of A and B. Now let us suppose P divides A. If P divides A, then there is nothing to prove. Since we have to prove that whenever P divides AB, then we have to prove that either P divides A or P divides B. If P divides A, then there is nothing to prove. Then there is nothing to prove. Nothing to prove. In case suppose that P does not divide A. So if suppose P does not divides A, and already we have given that P is a prime number. So by the Euclid's theorem, actually we know the Euclid's theorem. As here P does not divides A and P is a prime number. As P does not divides A, then there are two possibilities for this integer A. Either A is less than P or it is greater than P. If A is less than P, then it means that GCD of AP will be equal to 1. And whenever A is a greater than P and P does not divides A, it means that A is not a multiple of P. Then also GCD of A and P is equal to 1. Okay. So in both the cases, GCD is equal to 1. GCD of A and P is equal to 1. As we know that there is one result. If D is a GCD of AB, then D is nothing but AX plus BY. Or if there are two integers A and B, then they are said to be relatively prime if and only if one is equal to AX plus BY. As here GCD of AP equal to 1, it means it is are relatively prime, which implies there exist integers X and Y such that one is nothing but AX plus P1, which is by previous theorem or result. Okay. Now multiplying both sides of this equation by B. Multiplying both sides by P, we get. What is B then? B is nothing but ABX plus PBY. Okay. Now, as given that P divides the product of two integers AB and P also divides PB, since this will be an integer which is multiple of a P. Obviously, P divides PB, and we have already given that P divides AB, which implies as P divides AB and P divides PB, then P divides any linear combination of AB and PB. So P divides ABX plus PBY. But what is the value of ABX plus PBY from start?
B.
Which is B. And that is we have to prove. So whenever P divides A, then there is nothing to prove. And whenever P does not divides A, then obviously P divides B. So here is our proof. And here is the proof. Okay. Here, either we can use this method or there is one another method. Okay. Since whenever GCD of AP equal to 1, then we have used this result. There exists integers X and Y such that 1 is equal to AX plus BY. We can prove by Euclid's lemma also. Since what is the Euclid's lemma? Whenever A divides the product of BC and GCD of A and B is equal to 1, then what? If A divides the product of two integers BC and GCD of A and B is equal to 1, then what is the relation between A and C? Yes, आठवते का कोणाला? Euclid's lemma.
A divides C.
A must divides an integer C. So as here P divides AB, P divides an integer AB, and GCD of A and P is equal to 1, then by Euclid's lemma, yes, what is the relation between P and B?
P divides B.
P must divide C. Okay, so either we can use this method or this one. It will be easier one, that should be this. Okay. Now, again there is one theorem. If P is a prime, and P divides the product of A1, A2 up to so on AN, then P divides an integer AK for some positive integer K to integer K, where K lies between 1 to N. Okay, so here we have given P is an prime number and it divides the product of N integers, that is A1, A2 up to so on AN. Then we have to show that P must divides AK for some positive integer K. That is, whenever P divides the product of these N integers, then it must divides at least one among them. Okay, so now we will use the mathematical induction to prove this result. So let us see the proof. Given that P is a prime and it divides the product of these N integers A1, A2 up to so on AN. So for proving this, we will use the mathematical induction. Okay, so to prove that P divides AK for some K lies between 1 to N. Okay, we will use mathematical induction. Mathematical induction to prove this. Okay, now let n is equal to 1. First step, let n is equal to 1. It means there is only one term of AK. If n is equal to 1, which implies P divides AK. Okay, that is P divides A1. Here n is equal to 1. Then P divides A1. Result is obviously, so result is obviously 2. Obviously, since P divides A1, A2 up to so on AN, whenever n is equal to 1, then there is only one term, that is A1, and P divides A1. And we have to prove that P divides any integer among these n integers. So here obviously P divides A1, it means the result will be 2. Now let us suppose that n is equal to 2. It means there are two terms, which implies P divides A1 into A2. But by previous result, whenever P divides AB, then either P divides A or P divides B. So by the previous theorem, either P divides A1 or P divides A2, and that is we have to prove. Thus the result is true for, n equal to 2 also. Okay, now by mathematical induction, we will assume that it is true for some n equal to k minus 1. So let us assume that, the result is true for n is equal to k minus 1. It means whenever P divides A1 into A2 into up to so on some AK minus 1, then P divides some AM for m lies between 1 to k minus 1. So this will be an our inductive step. 1 less equal by m2, that is m lies between 1 to k minus 1. Okay, what is this? P divides a1 a2 up to so on ak minus 1, then p divides am for some m lies between 1 to k minus 1. It means it divides any among these k minus 1 integers. Okay, now the last step. In last step we have to prove that whenever the result is true for n equal to k also. Okay, now we have to prove that the result is true for n equal to k also. Okay, now let p divides a1 into a2 into up to so on ak. It can be written as p divides a1 into a2 into up to so on. What is the previous step of ak, which is ak minus 1? Sorry, here can we write p divides a1 a2 up to so on ak minus ak. Okay, as here a1 a2 up to so on ak are the integers, then product of this one is again an integer, so we will write this a1 a2 up to so on ak can be written as a1 into a2 into up to so on ak minus 1 into. Okay, now this will be the one integer, this one is an another integer. Okay, now by the previous theorem, as this will be considered as a and this will be considered as b, so by previous theorem, as p divides the product of two integers a and b, then either p divides a1 a2 up to so on ak minus 1 or p divides ak. These are the two possibilities by the previous theorem. Okay, now if p divides ak, then the result is true. Okay, then the result holds. Since we have to prove that it is p divides any among these k integers, as p divides ak, then the result will be obviously true. Then the result holds. But if suppose p divides the product of this k minus 1 integers a1 a2 up to so on ak minus 1, then by the inductive step, since we have assumed that the result is true for some n equal to k minus 1, so whenever p divides a1 a2 up to so on ak minus 1, then by the inductive step p must divides am for some m lies between 1 to k minus 1. So for that step also, for that case also the result will be true, which is by the inductive step. So the result is also true for n equal to k, since it is true for in both the cases. Since whenever p divides ak, then the result obviously true. But if p divides a1 a2 up to so on ak minus 1, then by the inductive step p must divides am for some m lies between 1 to k minus 1. As it is true in both the cases, then the result must be true for n equal to k. So by the mathematical induction, the result is true for any integer n. The result is true for any integer small n, and hence the okay. So whenever p divides a product of n integers a1 a2 up to so on an, then it divides at least one among them, and we have proved this one. Okay. Yes, कुणाल काही डाउट यामध्ये?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Now there is one corollary depending on this theorem, that is here we have taken a1 a2 up to so on a and b any arbitrary integers, that is either they are prime or composite, or there are some primes and some composite. But if suppose this a1 a2 up to so on an all are prime number, then what is the relation between that prime number p and the product of all these prime numbers? Okay, so let us see first statement of theorem corollary. Okay, if P divides the product of n integers q1, q2 up to so on qn, where sorry, first we will take what are these p q1 q2 up to so on q1. If p comma q1 comma q2 comma up to so on qn are all uh, primes and p divides the product of these n in primes q1 q2 up to so on qn for some, then P is equal to Qk for some integer k, Qk for some integer k lies between 1 to n. Okay, so P, Q1, Q2 up to so on Q1 are all the prime numbers, and P divides the product of these n primes Q1, Q2 up to so on Qn. Then P must be equal to Qk for some integer k, that is for some prime k. Okay, that is we have to prove. So, prove given that P, Q1, Q2 up to so on Qn are all primes, and P divides Q1, Q2 up to so on Qn, product Q1, Q2 up to so on Qn. Then by the previous theorem, whenever p divides a1 a2 up to so on an or any integer a1 a2 up to so on an, then p must divides any ak for k lies between 1 to n. So p divides q1 q2 up to so on k1. It means that this p divides qk for some k lies between 1 to n. Okay, so here p divides qk for some k which lies between 1 to n, but qk is a prime, but qk is also a prime, also a prime, and qk is not divisible by any positive integer other than qk, as qk is also a prime, which implies that qk is not divisible by any integer other than 1 and qk. So here actually our p divides qk. Qk is a prime. It means q has only two positive divisors, that is 1 and qk. That is, it is not divisible by any other integer other than 1 and qk. But p is also a prime. It means p is not equal to 1. As p is not equal to 1 and p divides qk, then what is the relation between p and qk?
Equal.
As p is greater than 1, then there is only one possibility that p must be equal to qk only. Okay, since p and qk both are the primes, by previous theorem we will get p divides qk for some integer k lies between 1 to n, but qk is a prime. As qk is prime, it has only two positive divisors, that is 1 and qk. But p is a prime, it means it is not equal to 1. So p is a greater than 1 and p divides qk, then by the definition of prime, there is only one possibility for p and qk, that is p must be equal to qk. Then only it is possible. Okay, so p is equal to qk, where k is lies between 1 to n, and that is we have to prove, and hence the. So whenever p, q1, q2 up to so on qn are all the prime numbers and p divides the product of these n primes, then p must be equal to any one among these n primes, and hence the. Yes, up to now any doubt? येस, आतापर्यंत जे झालंय त्यामध्ये कोणाला काही डाऊट आहे का? जर असेल तर आताच विचारू शकतो. येस और नो? आहे नाही काहीतरी असेल ना.
नाही सर.
No, sir.
नाही सर, डाऊट नाही.
Okay, now next theorem, that is the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. This one is an important theorem, fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Okay, first we will see the statement of this theorem. Okay, every positive integer n greater than 1, that is we have taken an positive integer n and which is greater than 1, is either a prime or it can be expressed as a product of prime, or it can be expressed as a product of primes uniquely. Okay, first we have given one integer n which is greater than 1. It is any positive integer which is greater than, as here we have taken n is greater than 1, then there is actually no need to take it as a positive, since whenever n is greater than 1 then it must be a positive integer. So any positive integer which is greater than 1, it is either a prime number, and if it is a prime number, if it is not a prime number, then it must be expressed as a product of prime, and that process will be unique. Okay, see the proof. Let n be any integer greater than 1. Let n greater than 1 be any integer. As here we have taken n is an integer which is greater than 1, then there are two possibilities for this n. Either it is a prime or it is a composite, and in both the cases we have to see. Okay, so if suppose if n is a prime number, then there is nothing to prove. Then there is nothing to prove, since whenever n itself is a prime number, then the result will be true for this case only. Since whenever there is an integer which is greater than 1, then we have to show that either it is a prime or it can be expressed as a product of uniquely. If n itself is a prime, then the process will be stop at that step only, since we at that step only our result will be true. Okay, so whenever n is a prime, then there is nothing to prove. But if suppose n is a composite, but if n is a composite number, as it is a composite number, it must has a divisor other than 1 and n. And in previous theorem we have seen that the smallest divisor other than 1 of any composite number is a prime number. So we will take that smallest divisor as a divisor of this n, which implies there exists an integer p1 such that n is nothing but p1 into n1. Since here we have taken n is composite numbers, it means it has a divisor other than 1 and n. As it has a divisor other than 1 and n, and in previous theorem we have proved that the smallest divisor other than 1 of a composite number is a prime number. So we have taken p1 as the smallest divisor of n. So as p1 is a divisor of n, then it means that by the definition of divisibility, n must be a multiple of p1. So n is equal to p1 into n1 for some integer n1. For some integer n1. Okay, now there are two possibilities for this n1. p1 is a prime. Now if suppose n1 is a prime, if n1 is a prime, p1 is also a prime, then n is nothing but the product of two primes. So here the result will be true. That is, the n can be expressed as a product of primes. So if n1 is prime, n1 is a prime, then the result holds. Result holds trivially. Okay. Now, if n1 is not a prime, if n1 is not a prime, Again, as n1 is not a prime, it means it is a composite number. As n1 is a composite number, then it must has a divisor other than 1 and n1. So there exists a prime P2 such that n1 is nothing but P2 into some n2 for some integer n2. For some integer n2. Okay, let us take this one as equation number 1, this one as equation number 2. Okay, if n1 is prime, then n is a product of p1 and n1, then n can be expressed as a product of primes, and the result will be true for this case. But if n1 is not a prime, it means it is a composite number. If it is a composite number, then it must have a divisor other than 1 and n1 and n1. But again, by previous theorem, the smallest divisor of any number other than the smallest divisor of any composite number other than 1 is a prime number. So again, this n1 has some smallest divisor p2. As p2 is a divisor of n1, then n1 can be expressed as a multiple of p2. So here we have written n1 as a p2 into for some integer into. Put this value of n1 in equation 1. Put n1 in 1, we get n is nothing but p1 into n1. Actually it is p1, and now n1 is nothing but p2 into n2. P2 into n2. Okay, now again here n is nothing but p1, p2, n2, where p1 and p2 are the primes and n2 is any integer. Now again there are two cases for n2. If n2 is prime, then the result obviously holds. Then result holds. Since it is a product of 3 primes, then result holds. But if n2 is not a prime, if n2 is not prime, it means it is a composite number. If n2 is not prime, that is n2 is a composite number, then we continue the process. Then we continue the process. Thus we get a decreasing sequence of positive integer. Decreasing sequence. That is, n must be greater than n1, n1 is greater than n2, n2 is greater than n3, and up to so on. But that process cannot continue indefinitely. It means this process obviously stops after some finite number of steps. Since here n will be some finite number. As it is a finite number, then it must be expressed as a product of some finite numbers. Okay, की प्रोसेस माझी indefinite स्टेप मध्ये असं कंटिन्यू होऊ शकत नाही, कारण n हा माझा एक फायनाइट नंबर आहे. हा जर n हा फायनाइट नंबर असेल तर काही स्टेप नंतर ऑब्वियसली तुला एक प्रोडक्ट ऑफ प्राइम्स ऑब्वियसली मिळेल. ओके, बट दिस प्रोसेस cannot continue infinitely. That is, after some finite number of steps, the process must be stopped. Therefore, after some finite number of steps, we get n as product of some k integers. N is nothing but p1 into p2 into up to so on pk, where p1, p2 up to so on pk are all prime, where p1, p2 up to so on pk are all primes. Okay, so here our first part will be proved. That is, if n is an any integer which is greater than 1, then it can be expressed as product of prime uniquely, or if n is a prime, then there is nothing. That is, if whenever n is an integer, then either it is a prime or it can be expressed as a product of prime. Now we have to prove the uniqueness only. Okay, since here we have proved that there is existence of such an integer n which has a product of primes, but that will be uniqueness. That is, uniqueness we have to prove. Okay. Now we will do the uniqueness. Okay. Uniqueness. For uniqueness, we have to take 2 prime factorization for an integer n. Okay. Okay. Suppose if possible, n can be represented as product of primes in two ways. In two ways, as given below. As given below. That is, n is equal to p1 into p2 into up to so on pr. This will be the first prime factorization, and second one is q1 into q2 into up to so on qs, where r is less than yes. Take this one as equation number 1. Now here there are two possibilities. Either this r is greater than yes, or yes is greater than r. But if r is equal to yes, then obviously these primes are equal to these primes. It means the product of these primes will be equal to product of these primes. It means any among these q1, q2 up to so on qs is nothing but p1. Any among these q1, q2 up to so on qs is nothing but p2, and up to so on any among these q1, q2 up to so on qs is nothing but pr. But here we will assume the another way, that is either r is greater than yes or r is less than yes. Then only it is possible that these are the two different ways. But if r is equal to yes, then these are the two same. Okay. So here we will take r is greater than yes. So let r is less than yes. Here we have taken r is less than yes, where pi and qj, where I is running from 1 to up to so on r, and j is running from 1 to up to so on yes, are primes. Okay. Now n is nothing but p1 q2 up to so on pr, and which is nothing but q1 q2 up to so on qs. As this one is equal to this one, then obviously this p1 must divide this q1 into q2 into up to so on qs. Here we will these pi and qj are prime in the decreasing order. In the decreasing order. Here we will in the decreasing order. It means here just we have arranged our prime factorization. Okay, that is p1 is less than p2. P2 is instead of decreasing, let us take this one as increasing. Since here we have taken p1 is less equal by p2, p2 is less equal by p3, which is less equal by p4, and up to so on, which is less equal by pr, and q1 is less equal by q2, q2 is less equal by q3, and which is less equal by qs. Okay, since here there is a possibility that p1 and p2 must be same. Since whenever n is equal to p1, p2 up to so on pk, then we don't know whether this all pk's are distinct or not. There is a possibility that p1 must be equal to some p3, p3 must be equal to some p5. Okay, so here we have taken p1 is less equal by p2, p2 is less equal by p3 up to so on, which is less equal by pr, and same for the q1, q2 up to so on qs also. Okay, now as p1 into p2 into up to so on pr is nothing but q1 into q2 into up to so on qs, it implies that p1 must divide q1, q2 up to so on qs. As p1 is a prime, q1, q2 up to so on qs are also prime, and there is one result. Whenever p is a prime and q1, q2 up to so on qn are again all primes, then p must be equal to qk for some positive integer k. So as here p1 divides q1, q2 up to so on qs, which implies p1 is equal to qk for some k lies between 1 to s. Okay, so p1 is equal to qk. Now we rearrange qj's such that Qj's such that P1 is nothing but Q1. ओके, जर माझा P1 या प्रोडक्टला डिवाइड करत असेल तर P1 हा माझा कोणत्या तरी एक Q1 Q2 up to so on QS मधील एका प्राइमला इक्वल आहे. मी फक्त या Q1 Q2 up to so on QS ची अशी अरेंजमेंट करेन की माझे जो फर्स्ट Q1 जो असेल ना तोच माझा P1 असेल. म्हणजे ऑलरेडी Q1 Q2 up to so on जो QS आहे त्यामधील सपोज Q1 हाच जर प्राइम असेल तर नो प्रॉब्लेम, बट इफ सपोज Q3 इज इक्वल टू P1 देन आई विल टेक दिस Q3 as Q1. इट मीन्स फर्स्ट स्टेप will be the third and third will be the first one. Okay, so now P1 is equal to Q1. Now as P1 into P2 into up to so on PR is equal to Q1 into Q2 up to so on QS, then we have to cancel the P1 on both sides. That is, then cancelling P1 and Q1, cancelling P1 and Q1, we get P2 into P3 into up to so on PR is equal to Q2 into Q3 into up to so on QS, where R is less than yes. Same for P2 also. As here this one product is equal to this one, which implies that P2 divides Q2, Q3 up to so on QS. Again, P2 is a prime, Q2, Q3 up to so on QS are again prime. Then by that result, which implies Q2 is equal to again QK for some K lies between 1 to S. Okay, again we have to rearrange Qj's such that P2 is nothing but Q2, and cancelling we get, and cancelling P2 and Q2 we get P3 into P4 into up to so on PR is equal to Q3 into Q4 into up to so on QS, where R is less than yes. Okay, but as R is less than yes, then after some finite number of steps all the PRs are cancelled, and here we will get the remaining terms. So after some finite number of steps, finite number of steps, one is nothing but QR plus 1 into QR plus 2 into up to so on QS. Since all the P1 Q2 up to so on PR are cancelled with Q1 Q2 up to so on QR, so remaining terms are QR plus 1, QR plus 2 up to so on QS, since R is less than yes. But QR plus 1, QR plus 2 up to so on QS are all primes. Now tell me whether it is possible that 1 is equal to the product of primes. Okay, as they are the primes, then they must be equal to 2 or greater equal by 2. So whether the product of integers which are greater equal by 2 is equal to 1, हे कधी पॉसिबल आहे का? Yes, पॉसिबल आहे का ही गोष्ट? प्राइम नंबर जे की 2 किंवा 2 पेक्षा मोठे असलेल्या इंटिजरचा प्रोडक्ट हा 1 येईल का कधी?
नाही सर.
But this is not possible. No, this is not possible, which implies that R cannot be less than yes, cannot be less than yes. Since this will be the will be get, since we have a supposition, our supposition will be wrong, that is R is less than yes. Similarly, we can do for similarly yes cannot be less than R, cannot be less than R. Okay, whenever we will take yes is less than R, then we will get 1 is equal to PR plus 1 into PR plus 2 up to so on PS. Again, this will be wrong. Okay, now R is not less than yes and R is not greater than yes. It implies what is the relation between yes and R? R हा yes पेक्षा लहान नाहीये, yes हा R पेक्षा लहान नाहीये, मग दोघांमध्ये काय असू शकतो रिलेशन?
Equal.
R is equal to yes.
R must be equal to yes, which implies P1 into P2 into up to so on PR is nothing but Q1 into Q2 into up to so on QS, where PR is nothing but yes. It means these are the same primes. Okay, hence the representation is unique. Representation is unique. And and that is we have to prove, and hence the proof. Yes, कुणाल काही डाऊट यामध्ये?
No, sir.